Hey guys, it's your girl Kenya. You've tuned in to L.I.E Radio. Are you ready to liberate, innovate, and empower? Let's talk about some deep issues, serious issues, and let's get to the nitty gritty. Hey guys, it's your girl Kenya. Thank you for tuning in. It is our first official show of L.I.E Radio. All right, are you ready to have some fun and get to some serious topics today? But I want to introduce all my co-hosts, so they're going to introduce themselves first of all, and then we will get to the topic that I have on the table today. Johnny?
Yes, I'm Johnny Wyatt, known as J-Dub Wyatt, and we're here to co-host with Kenya Young on some topics here. It's going to be wonderful. We're going to have a great dialogue here, so we're ready and anxious to help some people out today.
Camila?
Thank you, Kenya, for having me. My name is Camila Bywaters, and I am also excited to talk about some topics that we need to discuss in our community, and I look forward to the rest of the show.
Hey, I am Beach, and let's liberate some stuff. So we got a lot to talk about. Tune in.
All right, so we're going to get started on today's topic, which is a woman having a child with a married man unknowingly. And should he provide and take the child in even if the wife is not okay with it? So let me give a little bit of a scenario. There's a young lady that has a child with a married man, but she did not know. The child is 13 years old now. And the father is constantly making excuses on why he cannot allow the child to come over or spend quality time. And when the child calls, he'll say, I can't talk to you because my wife is right here. I think that's kind of trifling. What do you guys think? Johnny?
But definitely, we as men, and I'll say women because I don't like to put one against another, but at the same time, yes, we have a responsibility. So whenever an innocent child is brought into the earth, no matter what the circumstances are, we do have a responsibility, each one to do their part. So we can't have an excuse of what we did wrong, but rather fix the things wrong, but not by doing something else wrong. So it all has to work together. You have to find a way to come to that conclusion.
So Johnny, let me ask you a question. Do you think that the wife is truly the one saying that he cannot see the child?
Well, see, we can't speculate on who is like what the wife would, what that would be. My thing is, regardless of any other individual, it still has to have a conversation with parties involved. And so as a man, you still have to somehow have a conversation to accept the responsibility, and being that the man is I would say, deceiver, right? In this situation, I mean, it's a point where you have to come correct in what you have done and make that right. And so that's the bottom line.
And Camila, what's your point, your take on this?
You know what? I think that I definitely agree that you should take care of your responsibilities first and foremost. It does get into a sticky situation because to me it's an issue of morality. We're talking about doing what is right. And in this particular situation, you have a married couple, and then you have an unmarried couple. And I feel that, two people were brought into this situation unknowingly. The wife and the girlfriend were brought into this situation unwillingly, without having any type of say, possibly, into how they would feel about the situation. But at the end of the day, it definitely is a type of situation where responsibility needs to be taken.
Mr. Beach.
I'm gonna play devil's advocate. At one point, they dated, they had sex. He went home. Why'd he go home? How she didn't know he had a woman? 9 months passed, she's pregnant. He's still not there. At what point? The wife may not know. She had to have some point of knowing, do he got a woman?
That's pretty good. So
people can be very sneaky.
Yeah.
And very, very sneaky. I know I've had a friend tell me that she was in a relationship and she did not know, according to her experience, she did not know that her partner was in a full-blown relationship with a family and kids. So I think sometimes, women, men, whoever, when you trust somebody, you trust them. And I think sometimes there's some people who are willing to trust more than maybe we should, and you find yourself in circumstances that you don't really want to be in. But I think people can be very sneaky and manipulative, and and if you're trusting, you're not going to really check into what they're doing. You just, okay, ABC, this is what you're doing, ABC.
Right. And it's crazy that you say that, Beach, because this young lady actually told me she had a deep feeling that there was someone, because he couldn't stay past a certain time. But she was like, no, why would he do that? Why would he lie? And it was strictly a sexual relationship as well. So, but my point is, I don't feel like it's the child's fault. And I
Absolutely
don't think
not.
that
Right.
the child should have to suffer. Am I saying that the wife doesn't have feelings of resentment and bitterness and things like that? And what if the woman, okay, here's another point. What if the woman wants to apologize, even though she didn't even know, but that's not going to happen because the child's father's like, I'm not letting that happen.
The next woman, the wife, people, is not hearing none of that.
Right.
She's not hearing that you didn't know he was married.
And to go back on that, I just want to say, when I want to be, as he called a devil advocate as well, when you really look at seriously us as individuals, you have to first accept the responsibility of your part. And one of the things that we have to do is, as people in our communities, especially, I know within the communities we have women who are lonely. We have women that go through their situation where, and even men. So the agenda of the individual, like we said in the first place, the red flags are there. And we talk about that as well, because this situation is a conversation that, of course, we have a lot of times when things, because this is something that is not, this is something that continues to happen. Right. So this is not like, it's something new, right? Exactly. And so we do have to address some of the issues when it comes down to these situations. One of the biggest situations we know through an experience, you learn, first of all, the experiences that we have with people is one of learning to discern certain things. We've all, I'm sure, probably been through something where we have been deceived by someone.
Right.
And so during that particular, we learn the deceptive devices that people use. And so I can't give someone a pass to say I didn't know, because you have to now go back and what were you thinking? What were you trying to do? What was your situation? What was your agenda right here with this situation? So was it okay? Because if we go back to the truth of relationships, before if you thought, and this is one thing that I always use, I'm sorry, sometimes I bring up a biblical principle. If we go back to biblical principles, if we look at situations where I'm not getting caught up with this particular person until I know this particular person. And so even, and I've seen a similar situation where I always ask the person, did you go by this guy's house? Did you, where's these red flags? Before you laid with this guy, what did you know about this guy?
That's true. Did you even know his
middle
name?
Exactly. So, right. And you have a situation when you don't even know the dude's name. This dude go by a fictitious name. Junebug, come on now.
So somewhat, at what point?
So you got to deal with that.
So, do you think that the parent should tell the child the real situation? Should the child know what's going on? Should you be open and honest? Or do you keep this covered up and the child's feeling so neglected and abandoned by the other parent?
It's another story. Because what if the woman lied and say things like negative about the father?
Yeah, but that's true. That happens as well. But what if it's truth?
In what perspective? Who truth? Because the kid doesn't know. He just want to see his pops maybe when he grow up. Unless there's a new daddy. They call it stepdaddy.
Always depends on the situation. So I mean, truth is. I always say that we have to get better with telling the truth.
Right.
And so, and how we tell the truth is another story.
Right.
And so, with that truth, I mean, comes the responsibility as well. That when we deal with, I feel as though so many people deal with so many psychological issues because of the simple fact that they find out things later. And so when you deal with it, is you have to know. I think there's always a certain time for when you deal with kids. That's one thing of understanding as a parent, and this is something that I know we all have to learn too, because we learned it from our parents and the perspective of where we come from and how we was raised. But at the same time, we understand our own issues. So when we look at our own issues and we understand that, wow, mom had told me this, I would have did this, I would have had a different outlook and perspective. So we deal with so many psychological issues because we don't deal with the truth. And so when you do deal with the truth, you find that position where even with that truth, you got to deal with it. So, I mean, sometimes you have to get therapy for that particular situation to allow you to understand that things that happen that could seem to be bad don't have to continue to, affect someone's life.
That's true.
If you deal with it.
Right.
And you can end it right there and turn and put somebody on the right path instead of not dealing with it. And when that person find out, now we're dealing with a bigger situation.
Right.
So Camila, I haven't heard too much from you. What's going on over there? What are you thinking?
Just to piggyback off of my co-host here, I think that it is important that in a situation where we actually have a child who is asking and wanting to be in a relationship with this parent, it is important to be truthful. And because this child, in essence, is suffering a loss, and it's important that we get the psychological help early so that these feelings don't fester in, and then we have a child who's growing up with issues of abandonment and is blowing up because they didn't understand what was happening with mommy and daddy. So I think it is important just to be truthful about it. It's not going to be easy. It's hurtful. It's painful to have somebody that you're connected to DNA wise feeling as if you're being rejected by this person who's supposed to be a comfort in your life. So, dealing with the issue straight on is the best way to go, and getting the psychological help early on so that we can continue to birth children that are, one, able to take their story and to help others who may be going through the same as well.
I really like that. So what if the father really believes being a father is just financial provision? Do you think that psychologically affects the child? If he's always coming over, dropping off money, do you think she's going to look at a man as just money later on down the road?
You changed you changed a little bit on the gender. So absolutely, I think, especially, I mean, and I always say it is so important when it comes down to what you allow a child to see. And that too comes down to responsibility. And so what you allow a child to see, no, you don't want your child to see that this is all that this man does. And so it's and somehow, again, the communication has to begin as to what we want this to look like, what we want to present to this child. And so if you don't know, yes, we're going to cause some issues. And so this is why I think even a platform like this, whenever you start talking about situations, I think the main thing about any experience, there's nothing that you can do to go back and fix a situation, but the experience will help you to help somebody else. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so in dealing with that situation, like I said, you have to communicate, and the main thing is how you want this individual to see a thing, because we sometimes we continue to go on in life doing things, but you have to, when you come to a conclusion as to what your life should look like in the right perspective of what is right. And so in doing what's right for a child, or even within your own home, your own community, what you want it to look like, or what you want for your life and your family, you have to know what you want yours to look like. And that's and all of us are different, because I don't know what walks of life we come from, whether it's a Christianity, coming from a Christological background, or a Jehovah's Witness, any type of background. We're mostly centered around this Christological background, right?
Right.
And so the injective thought of Christianity, so it's a base. I always say, even with whether it's Islam or any religious group, we subscribe to some type of religion. You know what I'm saying? And
Yes.
and even though we may disagree with certain religions, but there is a foundation. And so sometimes you look at that foundation, and not that it should become religious, but it should actually give you a viewpoint of what it should look like, what your unit should look like.
I know you say that it was a change of topic, but it all kind of ties in, because even when you think about the child, I was thinking as well, the child could also have more respect for the absentee parent than the parent that's involved. And then the parent that's trying to explain the truth, they already feel guilty, or they're like, I can't change it. So at that point, all of this chaos is happening. The child is acting out, running away, and that parent that is absent is showing no remorse for their actions. So what do you think should take place? Do you take parental rights? Do you go make them do 50-50 custody? What do you think about that? How do you make the parent get involved that's in a situation that has a wife?
First, you have to see how long was that parent absent. If he'd been absent for some years, at that point, almost, that's not a non-factor. What you gonna do from right there? Because baby, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way up to even 15, if the parent was absent, you already have a problem.
And you got to deal with that too, because I think sometimes we do focus on the biological parent.
Right.
And sometimes we always say, sometimes it's funny, I hear some women, they prefer to the absent father as a donor. And you know what? And when you look at that, actually, we have to also give an account of what a father is. And sometimes my thing, in so many women that's without those fathers, because men do take their position to walk away or to not be there. But a kid definitely need a masculine figure in his life, and it does not have to be a biological father. Right. But it definitely has to be a masculine figure, because not to push a system of belief on anyone, but at the same time, I think we have to understand, even in science, the components of masculinity and feminism, and that's one thing that has to go together. So a child needs both sides, so we have to understand as well. So it's not always biological father, because sometimes the blessing, I believe, is the child. So when the father make the mistake of not wanting that blessing, and how that'll be something that sometimes you go in life, and the man will have a regret when he's alone. And then we see instances with the child grow up, and the father's like, I'm your father, after the child is doing well, and the child is like, nah, you ain't my father. You ain't been around. You know what I'm saying? Right. So that's your loss. You know what I'm saying? But you know, and so we just cannot say that, you know, the focus has to be there with the biological father, even though we would hope that fathers do take that responsibility. Even as we go, I'm like pro-black, and within our community, I understand what we go through as black people. I would love to always see black men take their responsibility in how they respond to women, be it, you know, we all made mistakes.
Right.
But we have to come back from that, and we have to build as a people, because we're looked at it in a different way too as a people. But we have to, that's another subject as well, to deal with the psychological position of us men, and how, you know, deception is played, and how people are getting you know, have gotten hurt, and the position of women where they are psychologically as well because of those situations. Now some of them take a position to do things out of the normalcy of life, you know, the right way of doing things because of the hurt and the pain. So we got to deal with all of that.
Go find it. I'm just saying, if you gotta go find a father figure, go find one. I'm just keep it like that, straight on level, because at the end of the day, when you raise that child, it's gonna be something missing. And if they get it from the streets,
Absolutely.
that might be a different outcome.
I hear you. But back to the beginning of what we were talking about. Unknowingly getting pregnant by the married man. He's been in the child's life since birth. But your excuse is, and I'm sorry, I just still can't get over the fact, I don't think it's the wife that's saying that you cannot see your child. Period.
Maybe it is the wife, because you got pregnant by her husband. That's how she's looking at it. She's gonna look at this. How you didn't know this man was married? Did he spend the night? He been home with me all night, every night.
There definitely are those situations where the woman don't want to deal with it. I've heard where women do not want that child in their home or anything like that, because it reminds them, especially staying with a guy who actually had cheated, you know. So it's like, to them, it's something that reminds them of that without them dealing with it themselves. So whenever these things take place, we still got to deal with the fact that, look how many people are affected. That woman is affected by his actions. You are affected by the deception of his actions. You see what I'm saying? And that child is being affected. So, but now we're talking about all three, but all three have different, they're being affected different ways. Everyone that's involved have to deal with their emotions and everything that come with the deception. They all have to deal with it. And so you have to take each individual, the woman, the wife that says, I'm gonna stay with this guy,
I'm gonna be the stepmama. Takes a strong.
You know what I'm saying? She got to deal with that. She got to deal with her position. So now I would say, if it was me, and I've done wrong, and I have to, you know, accept that, then I have to sit down with the wife that I hurt as well and say, how are we gonna deal with this?
That's all I'm saying.
But I mean,
I'm gonna tell you the truth.
You know.
If it was me, I'm gonna keep the lie alive. Wife ain't gonna know about nothing. I'm gonna take care of this baby.
At least you're honest.
I'm gonna take care of this baby, because it's gonna be problems. I know truth hurts, but it's gonna be problems. If I'm in love with this woman over here, they say tell the truth. But I lost this woman. I had a baby outside of marriage, and what if she couldn't get pregnant no more? What if she couldn't get pregnant? Or what if I say I didn't want no child no more? And here alone, oh wife, you know what? I messed up. I got this woman pregnant. First of all, you've been sleeping with her. You cheated. Every night you go home, you've been over there getting yours on. So it takes a strong woman, a very strong, to allow another baby that's not hers to welcome in the house from her husband.
So who's the man? Her or him?
but I think
it has nothing to do with it.
But, but then at the same time, it takes an even stronger man to actually, as king, I say, and lord of his house, master of his house, to actually accept the responsibility as the bigger person or the leader in that particular home. And if the woman is willing to stay with him, he has to find a way to help her to deal with what he has done.
this knife in the back while you sleep.
Hey, you know what? If it becomes that type of situation where I can't, it's gonna be that bad within my relationship, and I know sometimes it's hard to, I always say many times I've made any mistake, I know that the consequences that I have to deal with, that I have to accept that, and so be it that if I have to deal with a angry woman for a while,
or I think I would deal with an angry woman than a scorned woman. Because that's more deeper now. If she's scorned, you got to see with one eye open, one eye closed. That ain't gonna work.
you have to use
What
the
is
power.
it, matrimony?
I'm just saying, like, I'ma just lie. I'ma just have to lie. I'ma just to my grave. Because I'm in love with her, and if she find out, what if she do something to hurt me? I'm gonna probably accept it, but still, she's still gonna be hurt. Two wrongs don't make a right. That's what they say. But she's still gonna be hurt.
We gotta deal with that word love too. And then with that word love, it comes with a responsibility as well.
Yeah. I'm gonna take care of my kids, but now I gotta figure out, can she accept that? No, I think 90% of a woman, I'm gonna go down. 70% is gonna leave. 30% will stay. They're gonna leave.
We're going to take a break.
Phone call. Got a phone call. Somebody
Oh, I got a phone call.
Yeah.
Oh, someone's calling in. Hey! Who do I have on the
Good evening,
line?
panel.
Hello?
Good evening, panel.
Hi.
Hey.
Good evening, panel.
Good
Good
evening.
evening.
Good evening.
First of all, it sound like you guys talking about my lifestyle.
All right.
Yeah, everything that I went through, you guys is talking about.
All right.
But first of all, I want to say, you're less than a man to let a woman keep your life. Second of all,
You're breaking up.
it's about the kids. Once you focus on the kids, then you get your blessing. You got to work your way through the hurt. You know what I mean? That's why they said the stepfather becomes the father figure. It's the man that stepped up that becomes a stepfather.
Right.
Every man ain't a father.
Absolutely.
Every mother and every woman ain't a mother.
That's true.
That's good. That's good. So when you say it's your life situation, if you don't mind me asking, are you the one that had the baby with someone else?
I did all that. Everything that you guys talked about, I did all that.
Did you deny the child? As far as you didn't allow the child to come over?
Yeah, all the time. Whether you want the kid to come over or not, as they get older, they're gonna make it possible themselves. But the sad part to that, either they're gonna start despising the mother or the father. You know what I mean? Because mothers lie. If the fathers want to be in the kid's life, the mother's gonna lie and say he's a deadbeat. He ain't. You know what I mean? They ain't telling the kid everything.
Right.
But eventually, the truth come out. You know what I mean? It ain't all about the fathers. The mother play a wicked. You know what I mean?
That's true.
Everybody cheat for a reason. You don't cheat because you want to. You cheat because something ain't going right in the house or something. You know?
Right. So let me ask you a question. Did you look at the child as regret, or did you look at the child as a mistake, or did you love your child?
No, because actually his mother cheated on me. And she kept him out of my life, put me on child support. Me and my kid used to sneak and see each other at the movies without her knowing.
Wow.
The sad part about that, he graduated, wanted to go to the military, and ended up dying at the lake. Now his mother don't have it all. You know, it affects her so much. His mother walking around don't have it all now because the evenness that she played in our life. She lost her only son, her only kid, and lost the love of her life by doing what she wanted to do.
Wow.
Now, did I despise her for a minute? Yes, but I forgave her a long time ago, and vice versa. You know what I mean? I played with lies. You know, truthfulness in my relationship. You know, so it's either they're gonna agree with it or they ain't. Something that they're not happy with. Either you're gonna change or you're not.
Right.
It's good.
But once again, it's about the kids and not about us.
About the kids. It is about the child, exactly.
You know? So I just wanted to give you guys my input. So,
No, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for calling in, and sorry for the bad news like that.
I didn't hear you. I'm sorry.
Thank you for calling in, giving your input.
Oh, thank you guys for sharing because this is the type of radio station. Hey,
Right.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Appreciate that.
We need to talk about real topics that people are
Yes.
actually going through so that we can, help each other. No one's perfect. We make mistakes. And it's important that as a Black community that we really lift each other up and we stop, shaming people for the mistakes that we made. I'm not saying that we need to live in these mistakes and do things wrong that we know are wrong, but when it happens, how do we build each other up and get out of it and move forward and come to a place of peace so that we can grow together and move forward as a people? Very important.
Yes.
That brother is accepting the responsibility.
Absolutely.
The unfortunate part is,
all right.
even accepting that responsibility, now the work starts. The work does not start, the healing don't begin until you accept the responsibility of your action without blaming someone else. So each individual, even when a woman who is married to a man who does that she'll ask the question that we always hear is, what did she do wrong? So at the same time, each individual taking the responsibility of looking at themselves. And that's the only way that you'll be able to get past anything, is dealing with your own self. Because sometimes you look at an individual who stays with a person, and when a person stays with someone through something like that, there is two things that I'm not saying that that's always right, because there can be some issues within that individual just because they want to stay in a situation like that. At the same time, there can also be something good in that individual that allows them to take that position to stay. But when a person does that, I think that again, it's the responsibility of the person who is creating these situations. Once they become see what's going on around them, they take their responsibility. They are I believe we as men, we are created as kings. We are leaders.
Absolutely,
we are people who have to come to that conclusion as that, to actually represent as that masculinity, that powerful person, so that God has created in his own image. And we have to take that position of authority, and that authority with that word called love is so powerful. Is one. With love, it comes a deeper responsibility. If you subscribe to the ideas of biblical principles of a dying Christ, Messiah, Mashiach, we deal with a love that will go through the pain and suffering for someone else. And so whenever we look at those positions, we as men, we are saviors within our home. We are messiahs within our home. We have to take those positions of being that. Once we take that responsibility and that position, now we start by bringing healing to our home, and also to those lives we have affected, by taking that responsibility to everything that we've done wrong and accepting that. And then we find ways to be a help to those situations.
I will say this, after hearing that man's story, my perspective has changed a little bit. I have a little more compassion for all the parties, because I had no compassion for the father or his wife. All I thought about was the child. But all the parties involved have a part to play in this. And it can be fixed if you accept truth and work it out, you know. So that was really powerful, that story. Yeah. They said certain.
Certain.
Yeah.
Can't fix everything.
I mean, that's why you can't focus on just the one thing. It's like sometimes, like one person can't fix this situation over here and this situation over here. You got to deal with the situation that you can fix. And I think the responsibility, and unfortunate, that becomes the woman's, because of the simple fact that most women, because I would say a greater percent of women are going to take the responsibility. I'm going to raise my child. I'm going to do what I have to do that. And with that responsibility, it's even greater, even though it shouldn't be on you, and that's something that has to change. But at the same time, you have a responsibility as well. And because someone else does not want that responsibility, it's still the when you accept that part, it makes you stronger dealing with that particular situation.
That's good, Johnny.
And even though that man is not there, you now have to find those ways, those avenues, those different places that where you can actually find your help, instead of focusing on what's going on over there and what was wrong over there about the situation. You have to be the responsible person to do what you have to do to make sure that yours, you're okay, and that individual, that child.
Just say you didn't know. Hypothetically, let's just say
Right.
you didn't know. At that point, as life goes on, and he wasn't in the life, you got to move on.
Right.
And that way, taking responsibility is accepting that this person's not going to be here. Move on.
Right.
I agree. I think it may cause more, in some situations, it may cause more damage to try to force someone who doesn't want to be honest with the situation. Because now you have a child seeing a mom or dad coercing, persuading another parent to love, spend time with me. That can be more psychologically damaging for the child.
Wow.
To constantly get this rejection. And if some people may decide to bring the courts into their situation, but even a court order is not going to demand someone to nurture.
Right.
Like, the situation, you could just be coming to give the money or whatnot, but that's not nurturing. Children are looking for a parent to nurture them, a mom to love them, a father to embrace them. And sometimes if that's not happening with one parent or the other, and it's, a situation of this magnitude, then it may be best just to work with the child and just prepare for the loss and, get the help that is needed, the counseling, so that the loss can be dealt with. And the child knows that we have to move forward at this point in time.
I call him a new daddy.
Okay, I'm going to play devil's advocate in a minute.
Step daddy, because like they say, one man's trash is another man's cash. So that person come in, love that woman and their children, and raise them up.
So do you think it's vindictive of the woman to go for full child support since you don't want to be involved and just leave it alone?
I don't think it's vindictive. I just think that if they do it, you don't want nothing to do with the child. So I'm just going to take full custody, and I don't worry about your life. You go on about your life. I'll explain to the child when I believe he's ready or she's ready to know when she grows up. And whoever I'm with, let them know the situation.
I think that's a personal question, being vindictive. You have to check your own motive.
Right.
Does the child really need extra support monetarily from this parent? Or is it, I'm going to get back at you for how you've ruined my life and my child's life? I think that's a personal question to ask. And if you can check your own motives, then you can determine if it's vindictive or not for yourself.
And what if they feel like the father is already just giving money. So think about it. If you're already coming over giving money, I mean, it's not a big deal. I mean, that's how you feel. So might as well just go and get the full jug.
Well, at that time, early, the child is not affected because they don't know.
Right.
It's what you tell them as they grow up can affect. They don't know. As far as they know, whoever you're with now could be their biological father. They don't know, you know. So the child is not effective. Only the guy, if the wife find out, the wife and you are affected. That part can be fixed. The child can be gone and live a good life and find out who his real father is, and it don't mean nothing to him.
Right.
Like, for instance, me. I know who my real father is. It's not the name of my guy. Have I seen him? Nope. And I don't care because, you know, the person who raised me.
Right.
Raised you.
You know what I'm saying? Like, but at that point, my mom did let him know, like, this is not your baby. Nah, but yeah, just move on.
Now, with a situation where a man is not there, isn't that giving you full custody anyway? I mean,
yeah, you don't have to do all that. And bring the courts into your
No,
family.
no. I didn't say full custody.
Oh, okay.
I said the full jug.
Oh, you mean
Just the
I
money
meant financial.
see? Well,
If it's for the child.
that's a difference. But see, now are you saying because the man is giving money, but you saying go get more money? Is what
Get
you're
the
saying?
full jug. So let's say the man, the courts would order 1,000. Oh, we got another call in.
We do?
All right. Yes.
Oh, okay, wonderful.
Caller on the line. Hey, how's it going?
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. Let's hear what you got to say. What's going on?
Yeah. Well, I'm calling to say that I'm great time
Thank you.
hearing from this. Hello, everybody.
Hey.
Hey.
How are you?
What's going on with you, man?
Awesome.
Wanna help us out
Say
here?
because I've been listening, and I hear people talking about being part of the dynamic of the woman, the wife finding out about being a new stepmother. She doesn't want to be a new stepmother. She can be mad at me, and she can tell me that I am not trying to be part of this child's life.
Right.
But as a man, that won't keep me from being a father to that child.
There you go.
Right.
Exactly. That's it.
So I'm going to still do what I have to do.
That's it.
I may not can't bring her to the house, but it doesn't mean I can't be a part of that girl's life.
Right.
Right. Yeah. That's it.
Men try to use that as an excuse
Exactly.
to not be in it.
That's it.
That's good.
Yeah. So if
Hello?
and be a part of it can use as an excuse.
Are you there?
Yes, I'm still here.
Okay, you kind of went out. Say that again.
Say something.
I was saying that I think a man who doesn't really want to be a part of that child's life will use be strong when they're actually just being weak.
Right.
Absolutely.
So basically, he doesn't want to do nothing with that child.
And it goes back.
I say again.
Basically, what you're saying is what a lot of people agree with. He doesn't want to have nothing to do with that child.
But he can't be man enough to just say that. He can use the wife as an excuse, just claiming, you know what? She said I can't do this. She can't do that. Then see another woman. You could be bold enough to take care of your responsibility.
Absolutely. Exactly.
Love it.
You know. Yeah. Don't be a man then, but be a punk later.
Right.
That's good.
Thank you for calling
So,
in,
yeah,
sir.
No problem.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
You got it.
Yeah,
Way to go,
goes back-
Kenya.
Thank you.
That goes back to what I was saying
Bye-bye.
in the first place about being a man and taking that responsibility, because when you give the power to, like I said, you took the power from the woman in the first place of your commitment to that relationship as the marriage vows anyway.
Right.
So to take responsibility means you regaining your position again. If she's willing to stay here, you have to then still get on your particular platform as the leader in that home. And so you was man enough to go out there and do what you did. You have to be man enough to actually communicate with your other half. And she have to understand, and it's your job to help her to understand that if we're going to stay together, even though you have to work with her through that. Now you dealing with that's a lot to put on you.
I messed up. I got a baby on the way, but you got to work with me so we can get through this.
No. But here's my thing. But now understand this though. First of all, the woman have already decided to stay. She ain't leaving. She's there.
I agree.
She ain't going nowhere. So
now
at the same time,
he don't want to take care of the baby. He don't want no responsibility.
Absolutely, because if she's staying there, what's stopping him from handling his responsibility when she's not going anywhere?
Himself.
That's it.
Or you better not have nothing to do with that baby or I'm gone. She could be in denial.
It could be a bribe.
She could be in denial and like, you know what? I don't believe that's yours. I'm going to leave it like that. But you better not be dealing with this person or I'm gone.
Still got to be a man.
Yeah,
Still got to handle your
lust
responsibility.
Unfortunately,
gotta be a man.
That's
like
what
I
DNA
said,
does.
I'm going to lie.
Still got to be a man.
And get it lie. Because when it starts off with lust, oh, it feels so good. And then boom, a baby get involved. I don't know if he said, look, we can't have that baby. Or he could have like, oh, I want to have a baby by you. Anything. Or
what?
she could be like, I'm not getting rid of my baby.
Right.
Now he got like, oh my God, what am I do?
Or he could have said some weird stuff like, if it ain't a girl, it ain't mine.
That is weird because I mean, I know science is something, but to say beginning, nah. I believe this person didn't want to have nothing to do with the baby. It was lust,
Right.
and then it happened, and he knew he was married, and he like, you know what? I don't care if you have the baby, but I'm gonna make excuses.
Yeah. Unfortunately, age doesn't determine our maturity level.
I
So-
don't.
And that's
Just
what
the
we,
number.
yeah, and that's what we are when it comes down to situations like this. So it's like I always say, sometimes it's kind of a lot of women are raising men by themselves without a father, and so we have to take responsibility for the thoughts of these young boys that grow up and don't have these particular set of rules. Especially, it's like when I came up, my mother would tell me, hey, if you get her pregnant, you will marry her and you will take care of that child. For me, that was scary. So I'm thinking, I ain't trying to get nobody pregnant because I'm not trying to take care of no child at my age. So I mean, but at the same time, that's what's right. So when you teach a child, you gotta teach that. You gotta rear up children in that way, where the type of things that we're going through, we done seen it all. We done seen it all. We done came through some things, especially through our communities, and the things that we done seen and the things that we done heard in our communities is not right. And those things have to be fixed through people. Actually, again, I'm a pound on that responsibility word. We all have a responsibility, and that is truth is one of the things that we always say, that truth, what will make you free. And so you always have to deal with truth, and you have to deal with responsibility. That is key. And when you deal with that right there, I think that you'll make less mistakes, because you know that if you get into a situation, especially when you learn, you can learn from someone else. Because now it's like, before I lay down with this woman, I have to think about that.
That's true.
That what could be the outcome and how this can affect my life.
That's good, because I don't think we think about sometimes when we're younger who we have kids with. We don't really plan that out.
And boom, not thinking. All it takes is how much? Just a spit like that.
That's it.
When
Right.
she's ovulating, what's it called? Ovulating? And boom.
And I think a lot of it has to deal with the fact that um, our community, we need to be open with our families about sexuality and
Yes.
relationships and love and what lust is. And because we don't have these conversations, we have young people, maybe including ourselves, who've learned a lot of information about sexuality from other middle schoolers when we were in middle school.
Right.
And I feel like as a community we have to do we have to take the time to teach our children what it means to be in a relationship. Watch television shows, if you're watching TV, that are showing the black family or the family in a positive light. Don't be afraid to hold your husband, wife, significant other's hand. We have to show what it means to respect and love one another. And when we don't have those conversations, and and our family dynamic is broken, then we end up um, spreading and making the same mistakes and continue this pattern of brokenness.
Yes.
We definitely have to become mentors.
Right.
The older woman should definitely teach the younger women, and the men, of course. I was listening to another show of someone who was talking about how there was a time where when we were young, and how the older men would always applaud the younger men when they're it's like the notches in your belt, right? Oh wow, he's doing this, or your father when he didn't want to know that you had some type of other sexual agendas that was not right. He wanted to know, and so it was applauded that you went out and what they call it, sowed your wild oats. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so with that practice, you take that into your adult life, and you kind of get a little wild. You don't have that control of what it really is about when it comes down to sexuality, and so you feel that is being a man because that's what you're taught. So even it comes even into a marriage. I've seen people get married for reasons of being so religious.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? To
I
the
did
point that
that.
they thought that I need to get married so I can have sex.
Right.
And then at the same time, you find yourself, you still the same person. You still got issues. You didn't deal with your own issues, and you still making mistakes. You see, because it's like they say, you try to put a bandage on some pain, something that is not gonna heal. It needs some air. It needs something else. A bandage is not gonna do, and so we don't deal with those situations, especially coming out of our communities. And when it come down to our sexuality in those communities, we don't know how to deal with that, and we don't even understand how sacred that part is when it comes down to sexuality. So we make those mistakes, and we learn later how it has affected our lives without looking at our elders and how it affected their lives. Because we grew up with finding out, oh, I got a brother over here, I didn't know I had a brother, a sister over
Right.
here.
That's true.
Because why? Because those things in our community was not talked about.
They were kept and swept under the rug.
I cannot say that a woman did not know that her husband was out doing something. I mean, because when we look at our communities, I mean, it that is what it was. And so when you look at it, they kind of swept it under the rug, and it kept going, and you never saw it, you never seen it until later on in life, like, wow, this person was out there like that. But we don't deal with those things. And so when we deal with them and we change, we do better. So the next generation, we don't send them down these roads that they continue to make these same mistakes.
Yeah, I was just thinking that as we're getting ready to almost close it up, that the next generation needs to know how important it is, so that they know their self-worth. Because a lot of us women that do lay down with men, don't ask questions, we don't know our self-worth. And then we teach our daughters and our sons to lack in self-worth because they're watching this, especially if you have multiple children. So that is so true. So
look deep into the situation. Like they said, look deep before you leap.
Prepare you
Hey,
some
before
questions.
I mean, I know sometimes that you get to the point where that sexuality kicks in, but at the same time you got to think about the consequences of your actions, and know that when a man step to you, before you lay down and come up with something that's gonna be forever, you got to make sure that that man has some type of you see a something in his life, where you live, who your mama is, like in the old days.
right.
You know what I'm saying?
Who
Who your daddy? Right. I need to know who you are. I need to talk to some people who know you. Like, what's up with him? Tell me the truth. I mean, you got to know things before you lay down and do stuff like that.
No, I had an old pastor tell me that one time. Like, if all their parents is dead and everybody dead, unless they're really dead, but most time if they have not even a cousin or anybody, you got to watch out for that.
Yeah.
Unless literally, they're really dead, but
You got any closing remarks? Yeah.
Nah, I just want to say, man, I really enjoyed this topic. I hope that it helped everybody that listened in today. I am excited about this. I can't wait till next week for another awesome topic, guys. It's going to be great. You guys got to continue to tune in, man, and support the cause.
Yes.
L.I.E. Liberate the soul, innovate the mind, and empower the heart.
Empower. Yes.
Hi, I'm Kenya R. Young with L.I.E International, motivational speaker and empowerment catalyst and transformational coach. If you are looking for someone to come into your business to empower your people, innovate their minds, and give them new creativity to take your business to another level, I am your girl. I work in corporate events, commercials, or maybe you just need me in your church event. If so, you can go to my website at kenyaryoung.com and book my services right now.